All right, welcome back to another episode of Retro Muscle. Today's video is going to be part one of Iron Man's Critical Mass VHS tape series. In 1993, they put out their first tape, which was Critical Arms. It covered the position of flexion's training method. But let's get right to the video. Here's the publisher at the time, John Balick.
Hello, I'm John Balick, publisher of Iron Man magazine. For more than 55 years, Iron Man's main objective has been to give its readers information, sound, logical, factual information that he or she can understand and use to obtain the fastest bodybuilding gains possible. We continue this tradition with our videos. The information on this tape is based on a bodybuilding approach called positions of flexion. POF is a multi-angular training method that has evolved through years of analysis and experimentation. It's an exciting concept, and we believe is one of the most productive mass-building methods available. Once you understand POF and incorporate it into your own workouts, you'll see why we recommend it to every bodybuilder. Thank you for your confidence in Iron Man, and may this videotape bring you closer to your ultimate bodybuilding goals.
Positions of flexion, or POF, is a training method that maximizes recovery and growth. It's based on working the three positions, or angles, that each muscle requires for total stimulation. This three-position concept states that each muscle group needs 3 exercises for full, complete development, one for each position of flexion: the mid-range, stretch, and contracted positions. Let's take the triceps as an example to help further explain POF. The triceps stretch position is with the arm overhead and the forearm bent down and back, as in the bottom of an overhead extension. In this position, you feel a distinct pull on the muscle. The triceps contracted position is with the elbow locked, triceps flexed, and the upper arm down and back behind the torso, as in the bottom of a one-arm pushdown. The mid-range position is between the stretch and contracted positions, which means the lying triceps extension is a triceps mid-range movement. In general terms, you train the mid-range position of any muscle basically through the middle area of the body part's contraction capability. It's best to work the mid-range position first, because mid-range movements tend to work the bulk or belly of the muscle, which should be given priority for maximum size development. That means for triceps, the recommended first exercise in the POF routine is lying extensions. With a stretch position exercise like the overhead triceps extension, you place the target muscle into a complete stretch. This allows you to take advantage of the myotatic reflex, or pre-stretch phenomenon, an action that can help you involve more fibers in the target muscle for a more intense contraction. Baseball players use pre-stretch just before swinging. They quickly force the bat back prior to moving it forward explosively in order to achieve more power. You get this same effect at the bottom of a stretch position movement, like the overhead triceps extensions. Because the muscle is completely stretched, you get a more powerful contraction with each rep when you quickly reverse the movement instead of pausing. Pre-stretch is one reason why working the stretch position is vital to achieving complete development with fewer sets. Last is the contracted position, where the target muscle is placed in its ultimate peak contracted or flexed state with opposing resistance. Here, you engage the target muscle through the entire range of motion. And at the end of each rep, you get a powerful contraction. But in order to get the most complete contraction possible, the target muscle must be thoroughly warmed up. This is why you generally work this position last. Contracted position exercises, such as one-arm triceps pushdowns or kickbacks, are perfect for finishing off the target muscle. By working every muscle group's mid-range, stretch, and contracted positions, you can efficiently fatigue the target muscles with fewer sets during each workout, while still covering all the angles. From a physiological standpoint, this type of efficiency of effort in the gym is the key to maximum muscle growth in a much shorter time frame. Let's go through a complete POF arm workout, one muscle group at a time, to help further explain this effective mass-building method. To recap, the first exercise in the POF triceps routine is the lying triceps extension. This is a mid-range movement because your arms are out in front of your torso, and the exercise works the triceps through its middle range of motion. Notice that there is no complete triceps stretch at the bottom and no resistance at the top. Also note that this movement is between the overhead stretch position and the behind the torso contracted position. To get the most from this exercise, don't throw the weight up with momentum. This will take stress off the triceps. Some upper arm movement is okay. You do want to work your triceps with synergy or help from surrounding muscles like the lats, but don't go overboard. Also, use little or no pause at the top. There is no resistance in that position, so pausing will only rest the working muscles. Try to keep the bar moving in a piston-like manner, 2 seconds up and 2 seconds down, and concentrate on feeling the triceps working. Alternate mid-range position exercises include close grip bench presses. Touch the bar to your lower pec line while keeping your elbows in close to your body. You also want to keep pumping the bar up and down with no pause at the top or bottom of the movement. Lying dumbbell extensions. Lower the dumbbells to the sides of your head and keep them parallel throughout the movement. Once again, no pauses during the set. The second exercise in the POF triceps routine is the overhead extension. With this movement, you completely work the triceps in the stretch position. This stretch occurs due to your upper arm's vertical position. At the bottom of this movement, you will feel a strong pull on the triceps muscles. This pull or stretch will allow you to take advantage of the pre-stretch phenomenon. Remember, this is not a bounce, but simply a quick reversal of movement in the bottom position that helps you involve more muscle fibers. To make the overhead extension as effective as possible, don't let your upper arms come forward or drift out to the sides. Don't throw the weight up. And don't pause at the bottom of the movement. Alternate stretch position exercises include cable push-outs. Keep your upper arms next to your head and stationary. Also, stay bent over with your torso below parallel with the floor. One-arm overhead extensions. Keep the movement strict, and don't forget the quick reversal of movement at the bottom of each rep. The last exercise in the POF triceps routine is the one-arm triceps pushdown. Here, You achieve total contraction of this muscle because your upper arm is behind your torso as you flex your triceps. Notice that there is still resistance in the flexed position of this exercise, a prerequisite for peak contraction. This will allow you to contract the target muscle to its maximum and effectively finish off the muscle through a full range of motion. To get the most from one-arm pushdowns, keep your torso upright. Don't stop the movement short of complete contraction. And don't neglect the contracted position. Hold each rep for a 2 count to get the full peak contraction effect. And always allow your upper arms to move past the plane of your torso. You should follow the 2-second hold technique for all contracted position exercises. Alternate contracted position exercises include triceps kickbacks. Keep your upper body parallel with the floor. Keep your upper arms behind your torso and flex hard at the top. Here is how the POF triceps routine looks. Routine 1. Mid-range position. Lying triceps extensions. 2 sets of 8 to 12 repetitions. Stretch position. Overhead extensions. 2 sets of 8 to 12 reps. Contracted position. Kickbacks. 1 to 2 sets of 8 to 12 reps. Routine 2. Mid-range position. Close grip bench presses. 2 sets of 8 to 12 repetitions. Stretch position. Cable push-outs. 2 sets of 8 to 12 reps. Contracted position. 1-arm pushdowns. 1 to 2 sets of 8 to 12 reps. You achieve the biceps stretch position when your arm is straight and back behind your torso. You work this muscle through its mid-range position when the arms are next to or slightly in front of your body, as in a standing barbell curl. Total biceps contraction occurs when your upper arm is up next to your head and your lower arm is bent down with the palm twisting outward. The first exercise in the POF biceps routine is the standing barbell curl, a mid-range exercise for this muscle group. This is a mid-range position movement because the upper arms are slightly in front of the torso. Notice that there is no real resistance at the top or bottom of this movement. All of the resistance comes through the middle area of the range of motion. To make this exercise as productive as possible, don't swing the weight up. This can cause lower back injury and also takes work away from your biceps. Also, there is no reason to pause and flex at the top because there is no resistance at the top. Keep the bar moving in a piston-like manner. Some upper arm movement is acceptable in order to get synergy or help from your front deltoid. Alternate mid-range exercises include seated dumbbell curls. You can do these either simultaneously or by alternating arms. Preacher curls. Use a shoulder-width grip and keep your chest pressed into the bench. The second exercise in the POF biceps routine is the incline dumbbell curl. With this movement, you get complete biceps stretch because your upper arm is straight down and back behind the plane of your torso. This complete stretch position for the biceps places resistance on the muscle when it's elongated, which allows you to take advantage of the pre-stretch phenomenon. By reversing the movement with a quick twitch in the bottom stretch position, you can involve more fibers, get a more powerful contraction, and stimulate more growth. To make the incline dumbbell curl as effective as possible, don't allow your upper arm to move too far forward during the upward movement, or you will bring the front deltoids into the exercise. Also, don't rest at the top of each rep. Keep the dumbbells moving. With proper performance, the incline dumbbell curl will completely work the biceps in the stretch position. Alternate stretch position exercises include one-arm cable curls. Keep your upper arms behind your torso and curl the handle to the front of your deltoid. Don't forget the pre-stretch twitch at the bottom of each rep. You reach the biceps completely contracted position when your upper arm is next to your head, forearm flush against the upper arm, palm down, and your little finger twisting outward. Unfortunately, this position is hard to simulate with any conventional barbell exercise. You could conceivably use an overhead cable, but this is awkward and not very effective. A better choice is non-support concentration curls. This exercise will get you as close as possible to the completely contracted position. Here, you want to keep your torso slightly below parallel with the floor. Remember, you're trying to get as close to the completely contracted position as you can. Also, notice that at the top of this movement, you have to fight to hold the weight. The resistance doesn't fall off as in the barbell curl. This allows you to finish off the biceps with an intense peak contraction. To get the most out of this exercise, don't allow the upper arm to move from side to side. Keep it stationary. Also, don't do this exercise in a piston-like manner as you did the other two exercises. You want to take advantage of the peak contraction effect, so pause at the top of each rep and flex the biceps hard for a count of 2. Remember, you only use this pause and flex when there is resistance in the contracted position. Alternate contracted position movements include spider curls. Keep your arms perpendicular to the floor and stay over the bench to maintain resistance at the top of the movement. Here are 2 effective POF biceps routines to choose from. Routine 1, mid-range position. Barbell curl, 2 sets of 8 to 12 reps. Stretch position, incline dumbbell curl, 2 sets of 8 to 12 reps. Contracted position. One arm concentration curl, 1 to 2 sets of 8 to 12 reps. Routine 2. Mid-range position. Seated dumbbell curl, 2 sets of 8 to 12 reps. Stretch position. One arm cable curl, 2 sets of 8 to 12 reps. Contracted position. Spider curl, 1 to 2 sets of 8 to 12 reps. When you work forearms, you should train the flexors first. This is the beefy underside of the lower arm. You work the stretch position of the forearm flexors when the angle at your elbow is greater than 90 degrees and your hand is down, creating a pull on the muscle. You achieve the forearm flexors totally contracted position when the angle at your elbow is less than 90 degrees and your wrist is curled up. You work the mid-range position of the flexor muscles with any type of curl with your wrist straight. If you worked your biceps prior to forearms, then you've done plenty of flexor mid-range work, so the first exercise in your forearm routine will be the stretch position. You work the stretch position of your forearm flexors with incline wrist curls. By raising the end of a flat bench and doing your wrist curls with your forearms on the bench and keeping the angle at your elbow greater than 90 degrees, you can achieve an effective stretch in the flexors. Curl the bar up until you feel the resistance fall off. Then lower back to the stretch position, quickly reversing the movement at the bottom to get that important pre-stretch. There's no need to let the bar roll down your fingers because that doesn't enhance the stretch on the target muscles. Also, don't pause at the top. You don't reach peak contraction, so there's no need for a 2-second flex. Keep the bar moving in a rhythmic cadence, and don't forget about pre-stretch. You want to involve as many fibers as possible. You work the contracted position of your forearm flexors with decline wrist curls. Here, you hang your hands off the low end of the bench in order to get a peak contraction effect at the top of the movement. The angle at your forearms should be less than 90 degrees. Really flex the forearms at the top of each rep to get an intense contraction. To get the most out of this exercise, don't let your forearms come up off the bench, and don't neglect the top position of each rep. Remember, this is a peak contraction movement, so use the 2-second flex technique at the top. The forearm extensors are the muscles on the top of your forearm. You work the stretch position of the extensors when the angle at your elbow is greater than 90 degrees and your hand is down, creating a pull on the muscle. You achieve the forearm extensors totally contracted position when the angle at your elbow is less than 90 degrees and your wrist is flexed with your hand curled up. You work the mid-range position when your wrist is straight and your biceps help your extensors curl the lower arm toward your upper arm, which means the first extensor exercise is reverse barbell curls. With this exercise, you work your forearm extensors through their middle range of motion. Once again, There is very little resistance at the top or bottom of this movement, so there is no reason to pause. To get the most from this exercise, don't swing or jerk the bar up, and allow minimal upper arm movement, but don't keep them completely still either. Remember, you want some synergy during mid-range movements. Alternate exercises include hammer curls. Do these sitting on the end of a bench for a stricter movement. To work the extensor's stretch position, do incline reverse wrist curls off the end of a raised bench. This will completely stretch these muscles. You will feel a strong pull on the flexors in the bottom position, but don't pause. Once you hit bottom, quickly reverse the movement. To get the most from this exercise, don't let your forearms come up off the bench. Maintain an angle at your elbows that is greater than 90 degrees. Don't pause at the top. And don't forget about pre-stretch at the bottom of each rep. To work the extensor's contracted position, do decline reverse wrist curls. By doing this exercise on a decline with an angle at your forearms less than 90 degrees, you provide resistance in the top position, and you get the desired peak contraction effect. Remember to pause for 2 seconds at the top of each rep to get the most intense contraction possible from the target muscle. To get the most from this exercise, keep your forearms on the bench at all times, and don't forget to pause and flex at the top of each rep. Here are 2 POF forearm routines. Forearm routine. Flexors. Mid-range position is trained with curls in the biceps routine. Stretch position. Incline wrist curl. 1 to 2 sets of 8 to 12 reps. Contracted position. Decline wrist curl. 1 to 2 sets of 8 to 12 reps. Extensors. Mid-range position. Reverse curls or hammer curl. 1 to 2 sets of 8 to 12 repetitions. Stretch position. Incline reverse wrist curl. 1 to 2 sets of 8 to 12 reps. Contracted position. Decline reverse wrist curl. 1 to 2 sets of 8 to 12 reps. Always keep in mind that your biceps, triceps, and forearms get a lot of indirect stress when you're training other body parts. Anytime you press, dip, row, pull down, or chin up, your arms are under fire. Because of this, you must be cautious and think efficiency with respect to direct arm work. Hit each muscle's 3 positions of flexion with a few sets, and then move on. Don't think that more work is better. It usually isn't. With logical, recovery-oriented POF training, you have all the ammunition you need to turn your guns into cannons in the fastest time frame possible. For more information on the positions of flexion bodybuilding approach, order a copy of Iron Man's critical mass. Send $19.95 plus $2.50 shipping and handling to Iron Man Books, 1701 Ives Avenue, Oxnard, California, 93033. Or to order by credit card, call 1-800-447-0008, extension 1.
Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Part 2 will be up very soon. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and if you want more bodybuilding content, check out my Instagram page at Retro Muscle Medics.